Chosen one, something extraordinary is taking place in your atmosphere. What was once delayed is no longer held back. What felt like silence is now vibrating with divine confirmation. The miracle you've been sensing in your spirit is not just approaching, it is already here, waiting to manifest in your visible reality. This isn't a partial breakthrough, and it's not a symbolic sign. It's a tangible release. A heavenly transaction has been initiated in your name, and the approval is no longer pending. It's already cleared. There's a deposit with your name attached to it, and its contents don't just reflect what you need. They overflow with what you didn't even imagine. This moment is the result of unseen alignment, divine orchestration, and spiritual inheritance. The vault has been unlocked, not because of effort or performance, but because God said, "It's time." Watch this video until the end. What is being revealed is not ordinary. It is transformational. Write your warmest wishes in the comments and seal this energy by typing 777. That number isn't just a figure. It's a spiritual agreement. It's a way to energize what's been building in the unseen. It's a declaration to the universe that you are in position, you are in agreement, and you are aligned with the overflow that's being released. In this sacred moment, words become conduits, and intention activates doors. Your wish, your number, your energy, all of it is a part of this divine unfolding. Now, chosen one, press the hype button under the video and like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and let's begin. There is a difference between waiting and being positioned. You weren't just waiting. You were being positioned without knowing the full architecture of what God was setting up. You were placed in situations that seemed stagnant, surrounded by silence, surrounded by confusion, surrounded by uncertainty. But in that stillness, something was being wired deep within you. An internal system of trust was being established. A patience that doesn't expire was being formed. And in that quiet, in that space of not knowing, heaven was finalizing the instructions attached to your name. Not everything had to make sense. It only had to come into alignment. And now, the alignment is complete. This miracle deposit is not simply a gift. It is the evidence of a covenant that never expired, even when you were on the edge of giving up. This isn't a lucky moment. This is a destined event that was written into your story long before you were even aware of the magnitude of your calling. God doesn't move on random whims. He moves with precision. He moves with promise. And this moment is not an exception. It is a reflection of everything that has been waiting to pour into your life once the right moment arrived. The right moment is now. Many times you have wondered if what you felt was real, if the dreams you held close to your chest had meaning beyond your imagination, if the inner knowing you couldn't explain was actually leading somewhere. And each time life gave you reasons to doubt, your spirit somehow kept standing. Even when everything in the physical realm seemed disconnected, the faith within you refused to disconnect. There were no visible signs, no obvious markers, no crowds affirming your journey. But you kept going. You kept believing. You kept making space for something greater than the circumstances surrounding you. And that resilience became the currency of this miracle. That inner commitment became the foundation of this deposit. This deposit doesn't just respond to your prayers, it responds to your persistence. It has been drawn in by the force of your trust. It carries the weight of every moment you gave, even when nothing was returned. Every seed you planted in silence is now sprouting at the same time. Every loss that seemed to subtract from your life is now being balanced by divine multiplication. What's coming is not fair by earthly standards. It is abundant by heaven's terms. You are not being paid back in the same currency as your pain. You are being repaid in overflow. The spiritual system that governs divine deposits operates on a timing that defies earthly clocks. You may have felt behind, overlooked, or ignored by timelines imposed by culture, peers, or even family expectations. But what you didn't see was the holy calibration happening in the background. There were gates that had to be built, paths that had to be cleared, systems that had to collapse before yours could rise. There were deals you didn't get, because something better was being prepared. There were doors that stayed shut, not because you weren't worthy, but because the timing would have interrupted what God was carefully layering for you. And now, you're standing in front of the fulfillment of that invisible design. This isn't a release just for temporary relief. This is for structure, for impact, for legacy. This is wealth that stabilizes. This is joy that doesn't fade when seasons change. This is favor that builds bridges to nations, not just neighborhood applause. What's coming is meant to speak not just to your needs, but to your future. God didn't position you for small influence. He built you to carry what others couldn't hold, and now you're being trusted with the evidence of that preparation. The deposit reflects not where you've been, it confirms where you're going. There is a holy intention behind this moment. You are not stepping into random blessing, you are entering calculated abundance. Every aspect of what is being deposited into your life has been filtered through divine foresight. Even the things you forgot you asked for have been accounted for. The questions you stopped asking are now being answered without being spoken. You are not just walking into fulfillment. You're becoming the fulfillment. Your life is about to tell a story that no one can deny, not even those who doubted your significance. The miracle deposit is not the final chapter. It is the catalyst. It's the trigger for something exponentially larger. What you're being given now is only a glimpse of the scale of influence, healing, and transformation that will emerge from your journey. You were not protected all this time just to survive. You were preserved to build. And now that the foundation has been tested, heaven is layering the abundance required to carry the vision forward. You won't just touch overflow, you will dwell in it. As this release begins to manifest, you'll notice how time bends. What should have taken years will happen in days. What seemed impossible will appear effortless. What was too far will come close. This is not magic. This is divine mathematics. This is heaven making up for every delay with rapid fulfillment. This is acceleration fueled by obedience. And though others may try to explain it, they won't be able to replicate it. Because this isn't formula. This is favor. Favor cannot be earned. It must be revealed. And now, it's being revealed through your name. The shift will not ask for permission. It will not announce itself in the form of negotiation or discussion. It will arrive in such clarity that it will require no explanation. The people around you who once questioned your silence, your solitude, your strange sense of patience, they will be the ones who now ask how you moved so quickly, how the tide turned so completely. But there will be no answer that satisfies natural logic, because the source of what's happening isn't natural. It is divine. The miracle deposit isn't a transaction between you and the world. It is an intervention from God. It is a decision made in heaven that is now being fulfilled on earth. And once a heavenly decision is released into earthly conditions, it cannot be reversed by earthly authority. This deposit comes with instructions, not written in letters or emails, but etched into your spirit. You will start to feel the gentle push toward spaces that once intimidated you. You will be drawn to places you once avoided because they reminded you of limitation. But those same places will now look different because you have changed. You're not stepping into them from a place of need. You're entering with the energy of overflow. And overflow doesn't just fill rooms. It shifts atmospheres. It alters perception. It recalibrates expectation. You are no longer showing up asking if there's a place for you. You are arriving as the evidence that the place was built because of you. The miracle deposit is not just wealth in form. It is wealth in frequency. You'll begin to feel it before you see it. You'll wake up with a sense that something has moved, even when the room looks the same. You'll walk with an invisible crown, not because of arrogance, but because heaven has sealed your head with purpose. The favor attached to you will draw opportunities that weren't even on your radar. The kind of overflow that finds you, not because you chased it, but because it was assigned to you. That's the power of alignment. You don't have to beg for what's already been written in your story. You just have to be awake enough to receive it when it arrives. And it is arriving now. This is not the season for gradual increase. This is the season of sudden surplus. What you thought would come in small fragments is arriving in whole portions. There will be no trial runs, no test deposits. God is not giving you crumbs to see if you can manage the feast. You've already passed the test, the one where you stayed loyal in lack, the one where you held on when you had nothing to prove your faith, except faith itself. And because you didn't quit in the valley, you're being elevated to a mountain that was carved for you long before you ever knew its name. This deposit will disrupt the cycles that tried to cage you. The cycle of just getting by. The cycle of waiting for something external to change so you could finally breathe. The cycle of questioning your value based on what you lacked materially. All of that is ending. Because this overflow isn't entering your life to decorate dysfunction, it's arriving to destroy it. It is here to rewire the system that made survival seem noble, that made struggle feel permanent. And once the overflow arrives, nothing about your old systems will be able to remain intact. You are not receiving just to feel better. You are receiving because your life is being turned into a vessel, a conduit, a mirror of what happens when divine timing kisses human obedience. And when that kiss happens, it gives birth to abundance that cannot be stopped, copied, or explained. The ones who doubted you will no longer see you as invisible, but you won't need their validation. The recognition will be divine, the elevation will be appointed, and the overflow will make sure that no one forgets how your name became synonymous with supernatural delivery. God didn't choose you because you were perfect. God chose you because you were willing to become the evidence. And the evidence doesn't emerge in theory. It emerges through demonstration. This deposit is not a theory. It is the demonstration of God's unshakable promise. It is a demonstration of what happens when someone walks through delay, dishonor, and disappointment without compromising their posture. It is a demonstration of what it means to carry unseen wealth until the world is ready to witness it in the physical. There will be moments in the coming days where the release will feel surreal. You'll read things twice. You'll hear things and think, could this really be happening? Not out of disbelief, but out of awe. The awe of seeing your inner knowing finally catching up with outer reality. The awe of realizing you weren't imagining the favor, you were feeling it early. The awe of watching the people who once ignored you now realign their posture, not because you asked for it, but because the overflow changed the vibration around you. When you carry divine deposits, the room knows. The environment shifts. Even those who never spoke to you will feel the pull of your presence, because it's not just you walking in, it's everything that's been deposited into your atmosphere by God. Your hands will not remain empty. Your schedule will not remain slow. Your table will not remain silent. All of it is being replenished at once. That's what overflow means. There are no compartments, no pieces being left behind. God is delivering fullness, not fragments. God is redeeming time, not just tasks. And when this level of favor begins to unfold, your past no longer has the power to define your perspective. You'll begin to think like someone who has always had enough, because your memory will be reconditioned by miracle momentum. The people who once felt sorry for you will not recognize the version of you that emerges through this deposit. And it's not because you changed who you are, it's because you're finally living from what was always yours. There will be no need to announce it. The overflow will speak for itself. It will correct every rumor. It will answer every question. It will restore every missed opportunity. And in the middle of it all, you will realize that nothing was wasted. Every delay had a purpose. Every detour led here. Every no was actually a protection disguised as rejection. This miracle deposit is not about what's being added to your life. It's about what's being activated within you. The way you speak will carry more power. The way you move will carry more purpose. The way you perceive situations will carry more clarity. Because you are not just someone who received something, you are someone who has become something. You are no longer waiting for confirmation. You are the confirmation. You are no longer seeking proof. You are the proof. And no one can take that away from you. The overflow is not a moment. It is a lifestyle. It is the environment you are now designed to operate in. It is the foundation for everything that will follow. And this deposit is just the beginning. When heaven authorizes abundance, there is no mortal system that can delay it. No earthly algorithm can compete with the equation of divine orchestration. What God has already signed cannot be intercepted by anyone who wasn't assigned. And now you are witnessing the unveiling of what has been hidden under layers of misunderstanding, delay, and isolation. Your miracle deposit is not just wealth, as the world defines it. It is layered with revelation. It carries vision, clarity, favor, strategy, and a boldness that wasn't there before. This is the signature of divine overflow. It doesn't just add, it amplifies. You're beginning to feel a deeper sense of motion, even when the world around you still looks slow. That's because what's being deposited into you is moving faster than the things around you. You're being prepared for a pace that doesn't conform to what others consider normal. Your timeline is not going to match theirs. You're being funded by a source that isn't visible to most. And because of that, you will soon appear to rise suddenly, even though your journey has been anything but sudden. This overflow isn't impulsive. It's intentional. It's what happens when every prayer, every tear, every delayed promise is gathered in God's hand and poured back into your life in one glorious release. The miracle deposit rewrites the story others tried to define for you. It edits the narrative that made you seem like a question mark when you were always the answer. There were years when you felt muted, not because you had nothing to say, but because your voice was reserved for the right moment. There were seasons where you felt like a background character in your own life, but all of that has shifted. The deposit carries an authority that cannot be ignored. You no longer walk in rooms wondering if you belong. You are now walking into places that were delayed on purpose because the environment needed your energy, your anointing, your presence to be complete. Overflow doesn't mean noise, it means presence. There's a stillness in this abundance that confuses those who associate power with chaos. You don't have to prove what's already been appointed. The miracle that's flowing into your life is not loud, but it is loud in impact. It doesn't demand attention, it commands respect. And those who tried to minimize you before will now be required to recalibrate their perspective. Not because you demanded it, but because what God is doing in your life cannot be ignored. The evidence is too clear. The shift is too sharp. The light around you is too pure. This deposit was never about accumulation. It was about alignment. It's not about having more for the sake of validation. It's about having exactly what's required for the magnitude of your next assignment. You're not being overloaded. You're being equipped. The doors that are opening now require resources that match the size of your mission. You've outgrown the limitations that used to contain you. The miracle wasn't meant to decorate your life. It was meant to release you from everything that tried to define you by what you lacked. And now that the overflow has arrived, every former limitation is losing its voice. You are entering a realm where ideas become instructions, and instructions turn into manifestations without delay. That's what happens when a divine deposit is released. There is no lag, no long-term incubation, no external dependency on human systems. You'll begin to notice how quickly things fall into place. People will appear who are already aligned. Opportunities will meet you without needing to be chased. Conversations that used to be difficult will become smooth because the atmosphere around you has changed. You're not functioning from striving anymore, you're operating from surplus. That surplus is not about ego, it's about energy. And your energy now matches your purpose.